For decades, the story of human civilization followed a simple, straightforward timeline. First, we invented farming. We settled down, planted wheat, and harvested the surplus. Only then, with barns full of grain, did we figure out how to grind it up and bake it into bread. Recent archaeological discoveries have reversed this chronology. The grueling, labor-intensive pursuit of bread making actually drove the invention of agriculture. Humans committed to the physical toll of farming specifically to secure a reliable supply of the grains they were already processing into bread. Deep in the Black Desert of northeastern Jordan, at a site known as Shubaika 1, excavations revealed stone-lined fireplaces containing charred, crumb-like food remains. These hearths belong to the Natufian hunter-gatherers and date back over 14,000 years, predating the earliest known farms by at least 4 millennia. These nomadic foragers were already harvesting wild einkorn wheat and wild oats. This microscopic analysis of residues on Paleolithic tools provides the proof. On the right is a swollen, gelatinized starch grain. This specific morphological change only occurs when a plant is heated in the presence of water, confirming that hunter-gatherers were thermally treating and milling wild plants thousands of years before the agricultural revolution. Producing flour from these wild grasses required hours of repetitive, bone-wearing labor over a heavy stone basin called a saddlecorn. The abrasive nature of these primitive tools constantly chipped off microscopic fragments of basalt and sandstone directly into the flour. We see the result in the skeletal record. The teeth of early bread eaters are often worn down to the gums, riddled with painful dental abscesses. Early humans endured this physical damage because of the unique strategic value of baked dough. Raw, wet vegetation spoils in days and is difficult to move. Baking plants into a dry loaf created a biologically preserved package of calories that could be stored for weeks and transported over long distances. To overcome the inefficiency of gathering scattered wild grasses, humans in the Fertile Crescent began manipulating their ecosystems. They transitioned from opportunistic gathering to the deliberate, systematic cultivation of specific cereal crops. This chart details the genetic selection enabling large-scale bread production. Farmers favored a rare, toughened, non-shattering rachis, keeping grain ears intact during harvest. They also selected for the free threshing mutation. These naked varieties possess papery hulls that fall away during winnowing, drastically reducing physical labor. While humans engineered the plants, they also unknowingly domesticated invisible microbes. If flour and water are left exposed, wild yeast naturally colonize the paste, initiating a complex fermentation process we recognize today as a sourdough culture. Inside the dough, yeast produce carbon dioxide gas. Wheat proteins bond to form a gluten network, acting like a balloon that traps this expanding gas. Simultaneously, lactic acid bacteria lower the dough's pH, creating a hostile environment that repels mold and extends shelf life. Mastering these two systems, plant genetics for scale and microbial fermentation for preservation, provided the foundational caloric engine required to sustain the first dense urban populations. As small farming camps evolved into the massive, stratified cities of Mesopotamia and Egypt, bread production moved from the hearth to the factory. Feeding thousands of specialized workers required a leap in thermodynamic engineering. This diagram shows the thermodynamics of the clay tannour oven. Using straw-insulated clay to trap extreme dry heat, bakers reached searing temperatures. They slapped dough directly onto the vertical interior walls, where the bread blistered and baked in seconds. This thermodynamic design remains largely unchanged today, proving to be one of the most efficient ways ever devised to rapidly bake high volumes of bread. The Egyptian state achieved true industrial scale by using thousands of standardized pottery molds. Pouring sourdough batter into these heated molds within sprawling bakery complexes allowed a small workforce to simultaneously produce massive, uniform batches of conical loaves. This uniformity allowed bread to function as a primary currency. In a cashless economy, the state paid its workforce in strictly regulated rations. The Sumerian cuneiform logogram for food, Ninda, appears on countless administrative tablets, recording the exact daily physical measures of bread and beer for laborers. These two rations worked in tandem. Cereal grains provide dense carbohydrates, but lack lysine, an essential amino acid. As this data shows, yeast fermentation in ancient beers synthesized the B vitamins and amino acids missing in wheat, providing a complete nutritional profile. The ability to store and distribute this caloric wealth gave early governments the logistical leverage to sustain massive standing populations. Institutional grain storage and standardized baking became the physical manifestation of state power. For thousands of years, the biological pacing of bread making remained consistent. But the rapid urbanization of the mid-20th century created intense pressure to produce massive volumes of cheap, uniform bread at speeds that bypassed natural fermentation. In 1961, the Chorleywood bread process severed the link between bread and its ancient biological constraints. By replacing slow fermentation with mechanical force, industrial bakers could produce a loaf in a fraction of the time. High-speed mixers used massive amounts of mechanical energy and chemical additives to artificially develop the gluten network. This condensed the production cycle from 24 hours down to just 3.5 hours, creating the ultra-soft, long-lasting sliced loaves found in modern supermarkets. This industrial shift democratized access to cheap calories, but it came with a nutritional trade-off. Eliminating the long fermentation stage stripped the modern loaf of its natural mineral bioavailability and the complex flavors that had defined bread since the Paleolithic. The history of bread is a record of technical milestones: the genetic coercion of wild grasses, the mechanical engineering of stone milling, and the mastery of invisible microbes. These innovations allowed our ancestors to concentrate and transport caloric wealth with unprecedented efficiency. Bread transitioned humans from nomadic survivors into the architects of civilization. It provided the first portable, scalable, and storable engine of energy that allowed our species to stop foraging and start building.